Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Today we have baseline survey. Your president, right? Owner?
I'm the owner.
Yes. Here to talk to us about what his business is about. It's his first time here at Troy, first time in our department or our program. We look forward to hearing exactly what you do and also the kind of jobs and co-op opportunities. In particular, the hardware, software kind of thing. And I would like if you could come back as often as possible. All right. Be competitive like the other companies. All right. Thank you for coming. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ramroof. I appreciate you inviting me here. Of course, my name is Ledge, and that's a bit of an odd name. And it's actually short for Arthur Rutledge Nettles. And my mom didn't want to call me Arthur, and she didn't want to call me Rutledge. So she got Ledge out of Rutledge. And that's just what I came up knowing. So that's how I became Ledge, and that's everybody that knows me. If they call me Arthur, then you're one of those folks that's calling about the extended warranty. So that's how I know that. But anyway, I own Baseline Surveying. We started in 2010, right after the recession that was so bad on many companies. We had, I was actually part of a company that made it through it, but there was so much debt that they had incurred that even though they got through it, they didn't have enough funds to be able to make it forward. So that group folded. I came out of it with, I said, well, what else am I gonna do? Gotta eat. So I started my own company and was really, God blessed me pretty hard on that one. He just he left it in my lap. One of our biggest clients is Auburn University, so that's one of the things that kind of saved us. So I graduated from Auburn University in 1995 with a bachelor in civil engineering. And I had begun working for a surveyor there in Auburn through part-time and probably a year earlier. And so kind of liked it. So I graduated in civil thinking, okay, I'm about to go make me some money. And then it just kept on me, and I said, hey, you know what? It's not what I want to do. And I like going to the field. And so I took a big pay cut. I put probably $13,000, $14,000 pay cut just because I wanted to do surveying. And so I worked for him for a couple of years. And at the time, as a civil engineer at the time, you could have 2 years experience and qualify for your survey exam, which is not anymore. You still related thing, as y'all know. But I took advantage of that and qualified. T. Richard Fuller Land Surveying was the firm I learned under. And I don't know how much of y'all know about some of the old timers, Alva Webb. That's who I learned under. He was an older guy. He's about retired now, but he's always active in ASPLS a lot. So anyway, got my civil degree, worked for there, got qualified for my survey exam, went to work for an engineer and worked as an engineer for the next 7 or 8 years. And just kind of did surveying on the side, paid off our car, paid off my truck, paid off Christmas, doing side survey work. And that's kind of how that went. And then that company reformed and made me the chief land surveyor, civil design and consulting, where we added surveying to it. And that's the company that 2008 and 7 hit, and it went under. So I started Baseline in 2010. Right out the gate, we started out with a couple of university surveys that really saved our tail and put us on the map right then. So I'm licensed in Alabama, 2000. I'm licensed in Georgia as well. Got that in 2009. And I'm a professional engineer in the state of Alabama. Got that in 2006. So I'm a PE and a PLS. So there's not a ton of that going on right now because of the time you have to have in each one. And so that's a little bit about me. The company was 2010. I have had, over time, 3 Troy graduates work for me. And one of them so far is licensed. No, I've had, actually, Dr. Emery, I told you wrong. I've had 4. Trace Carson was the first. He was the first. And he's licensed. And then Josh O'Farrell is licensed. And Chad, I believe, is still, he may be working towards that or maybe have it. And then Dylan Cook, another guy that graduated probably 5 years ago.
Trace went to Paul.
He did. And then somewhere else from there, I can't remember where. But yeah, so we've had several, and like I said, one of the guys currently works for me and has been with me for about 7 years. After he went back to civil, he went into civil after he got his geomatics. And so he's working as a, really I can do whatever I want to with him. You know, but I can tell him, hey, I need you to go work out in the field today, but most of the time he's doing engineering stuff. We are a company of about 10 people, and I obviously am the owner, and so I'm firsthand on all the crews and everything, I kind of get everything out and about. You know, some of you may be you may think you want to do a bigger company. Maybe you think you just like small companies. Well, I'm the small company. And I guess the advantage that I would pitch to you on that part of it is you don't get pigeonholed somewhere. You're gonna come in my office and you're gonna pull the chair up and we're gonna sit down and talk. You know, when you've got a problem or an issue, or you're gonna come talk to me. And then when I'm going over jobs, you're gonna come in there and say, hey, I thought I knew what to do on this, and then we're gonna talk through it. And what's that gonna do for you? You're gonna learn what to do. How many of you feel like that you might wanna be your own boss one day? Okay, all right. Some of you just, you know, it's obvious. It's not a penalty if you're like, I don't wanna be a boss. There's a ton, my wife does not want to be the boss in any shit. She tells me, she said, you crazy. And I'm like, no, that's just, you gotta be wired that way. And some folks are made to be, just to do their job. They just want to do their job and enjoy it and just be left alone. There's nothing wrong with either side of it. I say the ones that want to be licensed, the reason I tell you that is if you're wanting to know what you're doing, you need to be trained. You're getting schooling, Dr. Emery, they're all training you, you're getting the academics so that you can get your license. But you're gonna have to get out there in the real world, and those snakes and bushes are gonna be out there, and you're gonna have to figure out what's going on. And that's when it gets real. And so that's where we come in, and you know, I've got guys that have never been to school that I've trained up. I've got a guy that was a drafter at Southern Union that came work for me, and I trained him up. And he's working in North Carolina as a surveyor. He's handling all the surveying for this guy completely. He's not licensed, but you know, you can teach folks. And so if you talk to my guys right now, they would say he teaches, he will teach. Yeah, when you get out of here, I'm gonna still be teaching. You know, I always like to go through stuff like that. I have probably, we have about, 1, 2, 3, I have 5 field guys right now, you know, and we're always trying to figure out how that goes. And I've got one that I know is getting married in November, and he has been with me for 7.5 years. So I've had several of my employees with me longer than 7 years. And the reason they left was because they moved. One wanted to start a family that was way out of town. The other was moving closer to family. And the other one inherited 85 acres and a cabin in North Carolina. So he took off. So we've had a really good luck with folks staying with us for a long time. And I try to make it to where we're all tight and close. I don't like it to be you're leaving early and nobody ever talks to you. you know, one of y'all, you know, I like everybody. I encourage the guys to hang out 30 minutes after work and they'll, you know, throw frisbee or something. They just chilling. I like to hear some of that going on and I encourage it. But, you know, we started out in 2010, it was me and one guy, that was from Troy. And we did he would do a lot of the field work and I drew it. And then as it grew, I could kind of sense that he was ready to go. He was ready to move on. So me and him talked about it. And I actually made some calls where he told me he would like to go. And I made some calls and actually helped him get a job. Now, was that helping me? Because I was going to be losing my one employee. No, but that's where I'm going with this is it was really his time to move on. He kind of had, me and him had hit the max with what he needed from me. And so he got that job, married, moved on, licensed. So everybody that I've dealt with, I always try to keep a good relationship with them, no matter what, if they've left or whatever. So I actually have a couple of ladies, one lady that's a drafter for us, and I use Southern Union a lot for, they're in Auburn, Opelika area. And we have them, they come and help us out, and I can train them up as well. Like I said, you might, if you were working there, you might be working with a guy that has no college whatsoever. Definitely not the knowledge you have, but they can do probably what you can do, what we'll be able to do, because we train them up that way. So that just makes y'all even more dangerous, is what it makes you. Makes you to be able to where you can do a lot more, you know, because you've got the education that they don't to understand some of this stuff. You know, motivation is a big key. I was talking to Dr. Grammer about that before we got here. You can be the smartest person in the world, but if you're not motivated, you're probably not going to grow very much. It's all on you on that part. So anyway, as of right now, I'm 49 years old, and I don't know in 15 years what'll be of our company, or who'll want to take over, or who might want to step in and show me that they've got some moxie and stick around, and maybe they take over. It'd be nice to be able to take over a company that's already established with a dry erase board that's got 4 full columns of stuff laid out for them. And so that's, I guess, and the other part of that is that if I'm pitching my company versus others, I've heard from some of my guys that have friends that went to the other companies, to some of the bigger utility companies and all that, they're going to pay you out the tail. You're going to be like, I'm rich, I'm making all this money. And what I found out from a couple of those guys is one guy got at a utility company, and he was locating water valves. And he was locating water valves Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. He was the best water valve locator you have, utility guy. So 4 years from now, he's got money in the bank, but he ain't got the first thing about surveying for his own self. And that's kind of why I was telling you a minute ago, if you're motivated for a business or if you're not motivated for a business. If you're not motivated for business, maybe you do go chase that dream to just work for a utility company or whatever, so you can get your 8 hours in and you hit the road. You know, I'll just be honest with you. What I need and what I need the folks that's like 8 hours is just us getting started. That's what I need. I need those guys that are like, I'm ready to roll. You know, I'm just being honest. I'll shoot myself in the foot because some won't like me. And some will be like, that's not the job for me. And that's fine. Every job's not for every person. But we are definitely a company, we're small and we can't afford the 8 to 5 and let's go home kind of thing. It's on, you know, when we're doing it. So that's just a little bit about that. You know, take it for what it's worth. That's my opinion for that. I've heard from these guys, and they've told me in the past kind of what their friends were going on and all that. I had one guy told me one time, we had kind of laid out his plan for 4 years. And he came back in like 7 months and he said, I need a $4 an hour raise or else. And I was like, well, but we kind of talked about your progression, how you'll progress on your payment scale, and how your experience will increase and everything. And he mentioned, he said, well, it's that or else. And I came in Monday because he told me later, his friend told him that worked for our utility company, said, man, you can get it out of it. He'll pay, he'll have to, you can get it out of it. Well, first off, after I knew that, are you gonna trust him? Are you gonna trust him that a year from now, he's gonna come back and do something like that? So, like I said, with the first one, I told him, I said, okay, I chose or else. And he's like, what? He said, I'll just take what I had. I'll just take what I had. I said, no, because I won't trust you now. Well, you might think, okay, well, that guy left and he's pretty ticked with you. No, he calls me for advice. And he calls me to talk and everything else to this day, because we just had to talk about it. I said, man, he said, I did wrong. I like somebody that's going to play straight up with me, and I'm going to play straight up with y'all. That's the way I go. And that was just a mistake he made. It's fine, under the bridge, roll on. I still love the boy. And some of our clients, though, even though we're small, we actually get some jobs that you'd be surprised about. I have a lot of contacts at Auburn University. How many of you have seen the big screen at Auburn University? We laid the footings, we laid everything, anchor bolts, everything out for that thing, such that we were laying that thing out, and the guy was so nervous because he had the 2 steel columns that were the base of it. They had to fit perfectly over the anchor bolts, and they laid them in and they fit right dead on it. And he was like, oh God, thank you. I said, yeah, thank God too. But we're working on one right now around the Plainsman Park baseball field. The groundskeeper at the stadium, whenever he needs something, he calls us and we just run over there and do whatever he needs. We've done surveys, large surveys, for most projects on campus that you've heard of or seen up there at Auburn that you've seen built. We've done 80% of them. And when they built there's this, the newest building, well, not the newest, it's the basketball courts and rec center and all that. We laid all that out, so they know us, and we do a lot of work, probably 18, 19 jobs a year with the university. Another one of our clients that in the last few years has kind of come on board is your old friend Dollar General. We've gone all around the state doing the surveys for them. They've kind of hooked on to us, and we do all the surveys for them. Come out and do topo boundary. Those are fun for me because I'm in the office most of the time now. So when we go do those, I take 2 guys with me and I go to the field. And my wife has said, you're so much happier when you go to the field. She's like, I can notice a difference in you. And I love it. I'll get out there with them and I'll cut grid lines one day on it. That's what needed to be done. I can cut grid lines. So that's what we did. But Dollar General, we have several subdivisions going around up there. We do the subdivision work with a major builder up there in Auburn that they just had us just roll right into 3 subdivisions. They don't even ask me a price. They just say, I need this, this, and this done. And we just go do it. We bill them hourly, and they don't care. So we do a couple of different things that we do, and this kind of plays on for those of you that may want to be able to do your own thing one day. We do topographic surveys, we do boundary surveys, we do the subdivisions. Of course, we do the ALTA surveys, and we do FEMA certificates if we have to, and we do construction layout. So I haven't done as much construction layout on the larger buildings, but we do a fair amount. A lot of the contractors are going with GPS now. And then we have to come clean up their mess because they don't know what they're doing with GPS. It's like you give an idiot a GPS unit and you're still gonna have an idiot. You know? It doesn't help much because they'll get out there and they'll mess up the world and they'll say, can you help us out? So they're like, we're not even on the same lot anymore. I'm like, yeah, I see that. So we do pretty much most of the basic surveys that you would ever be doing. We do anything, everything. That's one of the things that we're doing. One of the things and one of the reasons I kind of wanted to start talking to you guys is I am toying with an idea now of starting a drone program and adding LiDAR to our mix, which would be a big investment. And kind of what I want to do is, before I go and do anything like that, I need to know, is there a person that I can put some time and effort into that can help me run that? And when I say help me run that, I mean, you can run that. That's what I mean. And you would pretty much just be there figuring all that out, doing the point clouds, and maybe y'all know a lot about that, but you can kind of figure that along with the Alta surveys and the boundaries. So you would actually have a pretty full plate. It's kind of where I'm going with that. You'd be trying to help us with the drones. You know, when you fly it, you're on the site, so we still got to do the boundary, locate utilities and do all that kind of stuff, get inverts. So that's kind of what I want to kind of throw out there and see if anybody ever wants to contact me and talk about something that might be interesting in them with that. It's not like you're going to be, you know, all the time doing that, but that would be something you would help us start off with right now. It'll help you towards your goal eventually. And, you know, that's kind of one of my big things right now. To be honest with you, it's such that you know more than most of my company does right now, because I haven't told them this. And because I've been toying with this idea so that I can not announce it to them, but, you know, kind of know I want to go that route or not go that route. So anyway, feel blessed that I shared with y'all what only one of the employees knows right now. So trying to think.
What equipment do you use right now?
Yep, I'm glad you said that. That was right here and I passed right by it.
Okay.
We have recently, in fact, today or tomorrow, it should be, it's on the UPS truck. We're getting some more Trimble R12s. We already have a set of R12s and they're coming, we're getting another set because they work so well for us that we use GPS for that. We have 4 Trimble S3 robots. That's what we use for exclusively. That's what we use. And I'm probably gonna upgrade here soon. I would have upgraded to the TSC 5s or 7s here if I hadn't just had to have that other set of Trimble R12s. It's just come to the point where we were doing some stuff and the guys were fighting over it. Let's put it that way. It's like they were meeting each other in town to pick it up from the other one and driving, and that one was meeting him, getting it from him, and I said, this is not even efficient. You know, so I just ordered a second set of it instead of getting the upgrade of the software. But I'm coming soon with the TSC 5 situation, and the reason I went with the R12s, of course, y'all know that either that or to call someone's and they all say they get in the woods really good. Well, they told us that on the SP80s, and they didn't, and they failed. And within a year or two, they said they were gonna stop production on fixing them. So I was like, so I bought these units for nothing. So what we're gonna do is convert those into base units and just run, I'll split those 2 R12s up and run base and rubber, because if it's open, you're good to go with that. But we have had so much good luck with those R12s. And the reason also I went with that, we've noticed in the software realm, they're starting to go more proprietary. Used to, if you had Trimble, you used Trimble stuff. If you had Leica, you had to use the Leica controller. And when I was coming up, you couldn't mix and match it very well. Well, and then they kind of made it where you could kind of go to anybody's. And now I feel like, now I may be wrong, I feel like they're getting it more proprietary again to where it's going to be, if you use that Trimble controller with Leica, it's going to be slow. It slows it down to where you're like, this is frustrating. That's where I was going with that. So I had all Trimble stuff, so that's why I went with Trimble equipment, and it hasn't disappointed. Now, it's costly, but it's very good stuff, and it helps you do a great job of that. We use Carlson software, the Carlson IntelliCAD is what we have exclusively. Everybody has a copy of it. And we even have the civil and the survey package of it. So we can do our road design and stuff from that. And that's kind of a little bit about where we're at with that. Y'all have any specific questions for me or anything?
What opportunities do you have for interns during the summer?
That's a good point. I've never even I've never had an intern in the summer. Would love to have one during the summer. Would be great. And I would love to kind of set that up. Like I said, I'm not used to it. Nobody's ever come to me, or I've never had the opportunity to have a summer intern, except for some of the guys at Auburn that just wanted to work for the summer. It was just, I had a dental guy, dentistry guy wanted to work for the line, and he ran after that, after he was done. He said, this ain't for me. But that would be something I would be interested in entertaining for the summer. So.
How often do you travel for work?
Good point, because you hear the nightmares of people being out of town all the time. We're in town, let's put it this way. We go and come. If we're gonna go out of town job, we'll just double team it. We've been out of town, I would say out of a year, you're out of town 2 nights out of a year. One of those times is coming up next week because my brother works at a paper mill in Jackson, Alabama. And he was talking to a guy in Tennessee, and they need a big 29-acre strip survey of their holding ponds and to make some new ponds and settling ponds and whatnot for the mill. And we're going over there to hit it. We're going to hit it with 4 of us. With every one of us is going to have a robot or a GPS. But we'll probably have to stay the night. And but that'll be the one time that the guys have stayed in the last 2 years. And yeah, I don't like out of town work. Out of town work's really not where it is. I take out of town jobs that are like 3 or 4 acres that we can go hit it, get back late that evening and be done. I don't like the out of town. I used to have some of them. We were doing MAPCOs, but that's not something that I typically like having my crews out of town or anything like that. So.
If you had your drone, it'll be a 1-day work.
That's right, for the topo especially.
You mentioned that you had a plan for that one fellow that you were talking about. You had like a 4-year plan for his career. So if you brought one of us in, would you have a 4-year plan outlined for us whenever we came in?
Yes, we talked through it, talked with you. What I like to do is talk to that person, see where they're coming from first, because it doesn't make much sense for you to come in and me to tell you, here's what I got lined up for you already. That's my plan, not your plan. So what I like to do is talk to the person, see where they're going, what their feeling is. They may just tell me, hey, in 4 or 5 years, I want to move back home. I want to go back home and do my thing there. So what we do is work through the 4-year plan to get them everything they would need to be ready to roll in that period of time, where they're going, what they're wanting to do, is kind of what I like to do. Now, you still got to do a little everything, but it's tailored a little better to you. Yeah, that LiDAR, that's going to be interesting for me because I'm not we've got a guy that, y'all probably have met John Hamm, from Barrett Simpson. He and I talk regularly, and we've actually hired him to do some LiDAR work for us, for another client of ours. And I kind of gotten to where I was like, man, I feel like I want to get some of that back, a little bit. They use us primarily, but I don't, that's kind of a good way of losing clients is if you don't have the product that they have, and especially in this day and time. And it's going that way. We all know that. It's technology. And I was hesitant on the LiDAR because, until I tested it a little bit, you're really not sure. You've heard LiDAR is perfect, it's perfect. Then you get to see some of the 2 and 4 foot bust on the stuff from about 12 years ago, and you're like, LiDAR's not here yet. And then it's starting to come back around pretty close now. And so I kind of wanted that. It's kind of that situation where you want the first folks to cut their teeth and make the errors on it, so that you can come in on the better side and say, okay, now I'm ready. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
What's the largest job you ever worked on? Private, public sector?
I would say the largest one would have to be the Jordan Hare Stadium. We did, we surveyed every column and everything underneath the stadium. And on both sides, as far around the corner. Then they had us survey stuff on the inside of the bowl. So we had basically a 2D survey. Even though we weren't scanning or anything, we had a 2D survey of it. And it completely wrapped the stadium, where if you're familiar with Auburn, it has a Heisman Drive, goes around the whole stadium. We surveyed the entirety of that. Like I said, under the stadium. There's a large storm drain that goes under the stadium that I already knew about, and we surveyed into that, and they used that to do a junction box. I've got pictures on my phone where you would never have known it, but they dug up the whole north end zone to about the 40-yard line, 30-yard line. It was dug out about 15 feet deep where they cut into that pipe, and they set a junction and rerouted some stuff. And then they covered it up and fixed the stands back, and it was all done. But I got a pretty cool picture of that from a few years back where we did that one. That one took us a while. I would say, if I had to say one that was the biggest that we actually surveyed, that would be it. It was probably well over 15,000 points we took, just on a standard total station and all. But now we did lay out that all floors and everything of the wellness center is what it's called. That was the biggest construction job, I guess you'd say, we've done. But that's probably about it. That's probably the biggest one of that sort.
So Dylan Cook's still working with you?
He is. He's been there 7.5 years. Dylan went back to get his civil degree after he graduated here, and he is now doing mostly design work. Because, like we talked, he wanted to go and do civil and survey. So right now, it's harder, since he's gotten a lot of survey experience. He needs to get the engineering experience. So I throw him in there and I say, okay, you're doing this grading plan, and me and him will talk about it. We'll work through some stuff. But yeah, he's actually doing it. He's working on one or the other of one of the projects right now. I've got him working on the whole thing.
I hear that. He's one of the best students I ever had. He knows math, he knows stats.
Why me? Why me, Dr. Nick?
I'm sorry.
You and
None of them, right?
I guess he's engineering.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the one who told me that he asked a question in his stats course at Auburn. The instructor couldn't answer his question. Let's change another one after that. Yeah, he's very smart guy.
He is, yeah. We're we love Dylan. He's got a little girl now, so, but yeah, Dylan's there with us. And,
Chad there was,
Chad left, he was there about 7 years too.
oh,
He told me one day, he said, hey, me and Tori are going to start a family. And both their families were in Lubbock. And I take it to heart that this was, I felt good about this. He said, I'll drive 2 hours to work for you every day, back and forth. I said, Chad, that's not even logical, man. He said, I'll do it. I said, look, you need family time. You're gonna have to have family time. You're gonna need to be around your family. So I told him, I said, let's find you somewhere down there and I'll make a call and I'll talk to him. And I got him a job down there. He's working with right now. So he got 2 little a boy and a girl, I think. So, yeah.
I'm just kind of curious about students who got dual degrees, what they do right now, because we lost contact with those guys.
Yes.
I'm glad they're still doing some kind of service.
Oh, yeah, Chad's still doing it. He's somewhere around in Lubbock. Civil,
Southeast?
yes, that's it. That's it, that's the one. And that's who he's working with. And, so then Josh O'Farrell is working with, well, he just changed that job.
Just in?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, man.
He actually came by my office probably a month ago and kind of told me some of these little things and was talking to me about it and asking me he's like, what do you think about this and this and this? And Josh, I said, I said, I'm gonna tell you like I think. I said, you need to go do your own thing one day. It's time for you to go do your own thing. He said, you're ready for that point. He said, well, I know, I'm gonna do something on the side, this and that. So I gave him a little kick in the butt too. I'm not beyond kicking you on the butt. If I think you got more talent than you're showing, I'm gonna push you. Now, if you don't want to push back, and you won't do it, that's fine. But if I know you can do better, I'm gonna make you do better. Because that's how you do better. But yeah, Chad, Dylan, and then Trace, I've lost contact with Trace. I haven't talked to him. He was probably one of your first early graduates.
Used to.
Yeah, yeah.
John Harmon was.
Okay, John, yep, John. As a person that me and John talk, I talk to him more candidly than I talk to any other surveyor probably. I mean, you'd think, well, they're with another firm, yeah, but man, we talk deep stuff with this stuff. And I just feel comfortable with him. He's a great guy too. He's a really good guy.
Thank you for instructing to sort of gives help to our students and our former students.
I love it. Yeah, I really do. I don't know. I love surveying. I know I do a lot of the engineering and stuff, but once you fall in love with surveying, it don't get out of you. It just don't. I'm sorry. You can get out of it, and but if you really love it, yeah, there's nothing like it to me. I mean, getting out there and finding stuff, and my guys, even Dylan, they laugh because they'll be looking for pins, and they'll say, I didn't find nothing. No, I didn't find it. Ain't nothing out there. And I walk out there and I'm like, whoop, whoop, pin right there, there's one. Then we measure it, whoop, whoop, there's 2, there's 3. They're like, he's gonna come out and make a fool out of it. That's what they always say. I'm like, but then after we do that, what I'll tell them is I'll say, guys, do you know how I did that? Like right then? They're like, no, what'd you do? I said, you were looking here. I said, you missed the terrace. You missed the terrace that was coming straight at us, the terrace road. You missed that little hint of wire that you could have pulled up and say that it was going with the terrace. You missed that piece of wire that I pulled up here was going this way. I looked and saw where they intersected. There's a can. I opened the can. There it is. I just told them, I said, y'all have got to stop looking. What they want to do is stake it out. And I've actually spoiled them a little bit with that because I tell them, go find me 2 pins and then I'll try to get it worked out and let them go stake it out. Which probably shouldn't do that, but it's for efficiency reasons. I want them to learn, don't just look where the GPS tells you to go look. Look where, you know, the fence and hedgerows coming in. Look at that. Look at, you know, natural things. Look at all those little features. Look, find that painted line and things. And so I walked, one of my guys, we were walking down the line and there was a fence line going. I said, we were looking between pins. And I said, I know it doesn't sound right. I said, but that fence line does not sound right. That does not look right to me. They say, well, it's the only fence I see. And I looked really hard and I said, I walked over there and I said, use the metal detector right here. Whoop. And they dug up an older wire fence. It was right where I thought it should be. And they said, well, how'd you know? I said, well, first off, I saw an oak tree that was this big around that had wire, the little hint of wire coming out of it that was kind of had that little pinch. Well, I didn't see that. I said, yeah, because you were looking over there. I said, you got to focus. But that's what I love to do. If you can't tell, that's what I love to do. Get out there and walk them through stuff. Here's why you didn't see it. Start looking at these things. Here's how you find this stuff. So, I mean, City of Auburn calls us. They call us to do stuff for them. I do the work for them, but they give me hell on the back end of it. I tell you, with everything, all the flats and stuff. Ooh, Lord. But we've had good luck with them in City of Opelika. So we have good relations with everybody around us, and yeah, that's all I can think to say about that one. Anybody got any questions, just holler at me, or I can leave, I'll leave a couple of these little pamphlet things. This is our old address, but it's got our contact info on it. Of course, nowadays you just go to the website and everything. You know, if you're interested in anything, I'll leave a couple of cards. I'll give anybody a card that wants one. But I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with y'all. It's nice to meet, and it's a good-looking group. No doubt that this group's going to be successful in whatever they're doing. And so that's it.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you very much. I always tell the students, when they go out there, they're like a Sherlock Holmes, looking at every single thing.
And you're not kidding. You better be looking. Sometimes I can't find it until a little bit later.